Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of the Be S.H.E podcast. Be seen, be heard, be empowered. I am your host, Heidi Schalk, and I am with an incredible woman today. We talked a little bit behind the scenes. I'm super excited about this project that we might do together, so I can't wait to introduce her. Her name is Amanda Edgar, and she is in the publishing industry. So welcome, Amanda, to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
I am super excited too. But before we dive in, I'm just going to give everybody a little background on you, and then we'll dive into your journey and all the things. So Dr. Amanda Nell Edgar is an award-winning author, ghostwriter, book coach, and the founder of Page and Podium Press. I love that name. Co-author of the forthcoming Summer of 2020, George Floyd and the Resurgence of the Black Lives Matter Movement. Amanda has authored 2 nationally award-winning books and ghostwritten many more. So it's really interesting, Amanda. So my first question for you is, it says that you've ghostwritten books and then you've personally authored 2. So did you ghostwrite first and then personally author? Like, how did that work?
Yeah, it was an interesting journey, and I think it's going to align so well with your audience because a lot of it is just me not feeling like I was enough to put
Hmm.
my own ideas out there. So I grew up, I've always loved to write. I've always been pretty natural at it. And of course, studied and had feedback and mentorship. But I was an academic. So I was writing things that I was certain no one would read. It's a big part of being an academic. But I also, on the side, to kind of help pay for grad school and support myself, I had, just happened upon this idea of ghostwriting memoirs.
Hmm.
And so I'd started to do that. Well, whenever I started my tenure track position at University of Memphis, I met my co-author there. We decided to do a project on Black Lives Matter. And this is back in 2015, 2016. So he was all in. We started working on this project. We're gathering the data. And I said, okay, well, I think we might have 3 or 4 articles here. And he was like, this is a book, Amanda.
Hmm.
And I just, like a cold chill down my spine to think about that it would be my ideas. I had no
Hmm.
problem with it being my words, no problem with, somebody else's story, and I was helping them, and that supportive thing that women, I think, are so socialized to do, right? Like, I can do it if I'm behind the scenes and helping somebody else. If
Right.
you want me to be saying what I think and feel, and it's going to be in front of a big audience, not just academics, it was so scary to me. I laughed and turned around and left his office and went back to my office. And fortunately, my co-author, Dr. Andre E. Johnson, shout out, he is so patient and so supportive and so great. And he just kind of just gently kind of kept saying, are you sure it's not a book? You sure you're not ready for a book? And, the more I thought about it, the more I thought, I could do that. I know
Hmm.
how to do it. I know how it works. Why not? So that's my first book, The Struggle Over Black Lives Matter and All Lives Matter. And
Hmm.
from there, I still love to be behind the scenes. I still love to help other people tell their story. That's the primary, function of my job and my company. But really, it was such a boost to see how powerful it could be to use your own voice and use your own ideas and get them out there. Just so many people came to me and said, thank you for publishing this book. Thank you for working on this project. I learned so much. So there's really no turning back,
Yeah.
if that's good news or bad news. But once you start getting your ideas out there, it really, you start to see, number one, people are not as mean and horrible always as you think they're going to be. No one is ever as mean to us as we are in our own head.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
But two, you also start to see like, oh, I can actually help people by being in front of them. I
Mm.
don't have to help people by being behind the scenes and boosting them. I can be the one that's leading. And that was such a powerful lesson for me.
I love your story because it aligns with mine so well. And I'm not going to dive deep into it, but the first time when I started my business, I thought, oh, entrepreneurship is going to be so easy. Everybody's doing it. They look so successful online. They're just showing up. And then I realized you actually had to go live and show up. And like you said, put your ideas out there. And it's like, oh, what if nobody likes me? What if, you know what? I'd rather stay in the background. I never liked my photo taken. I never like I always wanted to be in the background. I was, oh, my name is Heidi. Yeah, I was hiding Heidi. Like that was what I went. And I was good with it. So I love that because I immediately, when somebody challenged me to go live, and I immediately, my throat closed, my chest got tight, I started sweating, just like you had that shiver down your spine. Like it's a physical reaction. And so I love that you move through the fear, and it's really, and you brought up a good point, like you had this cheerleader next to you, like supporting you, and also gently guiding you, like keeping you, like allowing you to explore it, and also knowing that you needed to feel safe in that space. So I love that you moved through the fear. And I love that you said, you're like, not everybody's mean. Like people are out there, they're cheering you on. It doesn't matter how mad you mess up, because most times, Amanda, people, they're not down in the arena. And that's one thing about Brene Brown that I love, that you, and I know, I'm sure you know her. Like she said, she was like, unless you're in the arena, fighting the fight, doing the thing, getting out there, then your opinion doesn't matter. So typically the people that are down there in the trenches with you, doing it scared, doing it through the fear, getting out of their comfort zone, they're cheering you on because they want to see you succeed, because they want inspiration too, and they don't want to feel alone. So that was super
Yes.
powerful that you shared, and thank you for that, because it's a great reminder for our listeners that you know what, and don't worry about what other people think, and most people aren't thinking about you. That's the
That
thing.
is exactly what I was going to say. Actually, most people that are going to interact with you are going to interact with you because they're grateful or because they have the same experience and they want to
Right.
connect. Most people, and people that you care about, honestly, like people that are worth bothering with,
Right.
are not spending all their day trolling strangers on the internet. It just, for the most part, that is not what I've experienced. And I tell this to when we have authors and they're working on their launch plan as well. I always say, 25 to 50 people that you really trust and you know them. And those are your kind of inside team, and we call them your hype team. They're really there for you. But I also suggest that people get 50 to 100 people additionally who you know them or you knew them, but you're not really close, and reach out to them and just see if they'll leave you a review on your book, right? Or see if they'll buy it and, buy a copy for a friend or whatever. And we go over this with our clients. But time after time, people will say, those people do not care about me. Those people don't want to hear from me. Every single time, that second group is just as strong as that first group. People are so excited to
Yeah.
join you on a journey like this. Most people don't know any authors. So if you say like, hey, I've got this book, people are so excited to
Yeah.
be part of that journey.
Yeah, and they're grateful and excited to be asked. Like I know if somebody asked me to, like, hey, can you, I'd be so honored. I'd be like, wow, you're choosing me. Thank you. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And how to, let me dive in and give you the best review I can. So what would you say for, well, let's start with on the entrepreneurial journey, because that's who we're helping right now. And I know there's women that are going to be listening that are like, now the light bulb's going off, like, could I be an author? But let's talk about your entrepreneurial journey. What was your biggest challenge when you got started?
Well, honestly, the hardest thing was this fear of visibility,
Mm,
which I feel really so empowered to be able to help other women through that, because of course becoming an author is all visibility, but just as you were getting at earlier, I mean, going live, or having a YouTube channel, or for me the biggest thing was, am I going to post on social media and it's just going to be crickets? And then it's that thing, right? We think everybody's watching us.
mm,
So then we think, oh my gosh, then are people going to go to my Facebook or go to my Instagram and see that there's no likes? And then they'll know that I'm a failure and a fraud and an imposter. That was the hardest part for me, was getting out there and saying, you know what, though, I believe in this company. I believe that, and I see every day that we are changing people's lives. So is that not worth me
yeah,
stepping up, doing what I know so many women have done? It's safe. You can do it.
right.
And I had to say, yes, of course it is, because I spent really, probably the first 10 years of my entrepreneurial journey, just really, now I had another job, so it was okay that it was a little bit smaller company, but probably the first 10 years just kind of hiding, just all referrals, just people I knew. And then, those people would introduce me to people they knew but I never was out there in front of strangers. I never felt comfortable that I could be out there saying, hey, we have such an amazing service to offer. I
Mm,
want to help you. So really, it was once I overcame that, then I started to see, oh my gosh, so fast. The
mhm,
business grew so fast, and the number of people we helped grew so fast, and the pride and just power of it is
mhm.
amazing once you overcome that hurdle.
Yeah, you connected to your mission, which I really love. And when you got like, we have to get out of our own way. I think that's a lot of it. We're in our own way, and it's not other people's opinions or other people's views. But when we really get in tune with what's our mission, and I think finding I don't know if purpose comes before passion or passion comes before purpose, but it sounds like you really got connected to your why, which is helping other women or other people. And I think that's really powerful because like when it comes to in the entrepreneurial space, say selling, for example, I work with female entrepreneurs, and female entrepreneurs can have this many of them are like, I don't want to ask for money. It's uncomfortable. I
Yep.
had that too. Does it creep up every now and then? But when you put your mission around selling is serving, and if I'm not selling, someone's not getting helped. And I tell all entrepreneurs that. And same thing with you. If you're not out there sharing your showing up, right? Getting out of your comfort zone, walking through the fear, there's people out there whose stories aren't being shared. And that's not good. That's sad because the ripple effect that you're causing by allowing them to be seen, share their stories, be heard, they're also helping other people out there who need those stories they need to see and hear those stories, right?
100%. Well, I'll build on that too, because I think it's not just asking for money at all. For a
Mm,
lot of women entrepreneurs, it's asking for the amount of money that you actually need to deliver the service well,
that's true. Yeah.
which was something that I really struggled with for a long time too, because when you're talking about writing a book, it's hundreds of hours. And
Mhm.
I'm values based, package based. All our pricing is that way, but you still need a team. You need
Right.
editors, and you need the writer, and you need the cover designer and the interior layout. You need all those things.
Mm,
And for me, asking for money was not as hard. It was just that, when I started, I was charging 6,000, 8,000 for a full book. You're losing money at that point.
mhm. Got it.
And
Yeah.
that, the resentment comes in because, I've already burned through all this money. Now I'm just working for free. And that is not the type of service that your clients want. It's
No.
not the type of service that you can sustain for any kind of a long-term, career. And it's not the kind of investment that your clients need to really feel empowered and emboldened by
Right.
embarking on this journey. Really, what I find, especially with coaching, is that, when I was just charging pennies, people would cancel or, oh, can I just reschedule? When you start thinking about, what is the value that I'm delivering and really aligning that value with how you're selling,
Mm,
the service that you deliver to your clients just skyrockets. They're there. They want to learn from you. They're excited every single week. It's just it's a transformation, that it's so much mindset work to get there,
yeah.
but it's so worth it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So good. So for those listening who are like, oh gosh, so what would it take to get started? If somebody's contemplating like wanting to be an author, like what would you say would be the first steps or the process?
Well, the first thing I would say is book a call with me.
Yes.
We So we have an application system, so you can head over to pageandpodium.com/contact.
Mm,
It's going to ask you to just give me some information on your book, which I need that to just make sure we're a good fit and that I can guide you. But what I also find is, I ask things like, what's your book about? But also, why do you want to write it? Who do you think you're going to reach? Those are actually the first things that you need to think about. What is this book going to do for you? So I would imagine for the folks listening now, a book is an amazing way to build your business. I mean, you are instantly leveling up your authority, your credibility, all of these things that make, marketing and sales so much easier. You can start getting on public stages. Podcasts are way easier to book when you are an author and you have a book on your one sheet. So there's a lot of things that you can do with a book, but it's really important to know what that is. Do you want to be a New York Times bestseller? In that case, I'm going to have different advice for you than if you want to sell the book on your website and bring in, all that money goes in your pocket. You're using it to leverage for leads. You've got an email list set up. What you want to do with it and what your goals are is really going to dictate how you move forward with that book.
Okay, that's really interesting to know that there's like different directions to go depending on what your goals are. Which everything starts with goals. You really need to know where your goals are, what your goal is, like Amanda said, and then she can help you reverse engineer that backwards to see what it looks like for you going forward. So good, Amanda. So what would you say because I know now people are probably like, the fear is creeping up, it's like, can I really do this? I don't know. Like now I'm a little nervous. Should I book a call? Should I not book a call? Like all the thoughts start going through our head. Thinking back on your journey, like what would you say what advice can you give them to move through that fear and step out of their comfort zone a little bit to just see what's next, see what's available?
Yeah. Well, I think there's a couple of pieces here. And one thing is, if you are at that place where you have not really gotten in front of people, if you're, where I was years ago and you're just kind of hiding in the shadows, a book is going to be really scary. We can still do it. We have worked with people that were launching businesses and wanted to start with a book. But really, my suggestion would be start with an Instagram live. Start with, a series of reels, because what you'll have two things. One, you'll start to feel clearer on what you want to say because you have to pick topics and you have to pick angles. But two, you'll also start to see what people resonate with.
Mm.
And once you dial that in, then you can kind of, we have a big wide topic, right? You're going to pick 10 things. Well, if two of those land, okay, now make those your two big topics, right? And then you can pick 10 topics within those. You can start to get really specific, and that is what a good book needs, right? We don't need more business books that are, all the same advice that have been in business books for years and years and years. And one of the ways that I really encourage people to just practically do that is to pull in your own story, which we've both done.
Yeah.
The thing is, however, your advice and your story are going to combine into something that no one else can write. No one else can pull your personal story in front of that audience and use it to give that kind of hard fought advice that you have learned. So my advice would be start a little bit smaller. And then as you grow, a book can really feed into that cyclically. So what happens a lot of times is, even with coaching or with ghostwriting, as we're working with people, we're asking questions, we're excited about the project, and it can really help kind of revitalize. If you have been out in front of people for a while and you're kind of feeling like, does anybody care anymore? Like, you're getting somebody that's going to feed back to you. And we're pretty positive, encouraging people. I hope that's clear.
Hope so.
So we're going to feed back to you, what is really unique and interesting and what we should lean into. And, also, I'll be honest with people, if it's like, I don't know if I think that's you, I think that might be you thinking that's what you're supposed to say. Let's get really authentic and really genuine and make sure we're dialed in.
That's a really good point. I'm glad that you help everybody, you help people from like literally the beginning. You can help them develop their story and go deeper into it. Cause I think for many of us, we're nervous about, does anybody really care? Like, I know that was my thing when I started just in entrepreneurship. I heard from so many, you got to share your story. Stories are how people connect. I'm like, nobody's going to care about my story. And then finally, when I got out of my own way, and I shared the story, that's when things resonate. We have so many stories. So I like that you said, like, you're going to be able to tell them, like, I don't know if this is the story we want to share. Like, let's go deeper, or let's get really authentic here, because authenticity is key. And I think no matter whether you're, building a business, launching a book, whatever it is, the more authentic you can get, which authenticity typically breeds more fear and nervousness, because we're opening up, we're becoming, real and raw. And so how do you, how can you share people to navigate that fear of getting authentic? Because I think that's a challenge for many. Vulnerability was like my biggest challenge. Now I learned that vulnerability is actually a superpower.
100%. Well, I want to go back to one of the first things you said, which is,
Okay.
will anybody even care? And the thing that I always say to my clients is nobody cares because they don't know.
Mm,
You can't just assume nobody's going to care if you haven't ever gotten it out there to see. What I have found across the board, people will release these books. And whether it's, friends and family that are early readers, or we worked with a man who his main goal was to get his book into prisons. He had been in some trouble as a younger person. He really wanted to inspire, people that were going to be coming out of prison. His book, within days of it hitting the prison system, he was getting letters from people saying,
oh,
"Oh my gosh, like I see myself in you. And I would not have ever thought that I could do anything with my life, let alone write a book." Like, I mean, people were saying, "I'm so proud of you," that he didn't even know.
oh, that's
Like, what an
amazing.
amazing thing. But,
Yeah.
I think he waited 10 years before he came to us because he was so scared. And his story is, he shared it on our YouTube channel. His story is that he was waiting in line at a gas station to pay for something. And there were these two guys in front of him that reminded him so much of his younger self. And he said he heard this voice that said, "Tell your story."
Mm,
And from there, I mean, and then he is a very spiritual guy. So he was like, well, I was going to do it then at that point. But
right.
um, yeah, as far as though moving through kind of the vulnerability and the authenticity, I think the biggest thing is you just have to do it.
Yeah. You
Like
just
you're
have to do it.
saying,
Yeah,
it's a
you got to take that
superpower.
leap. You've got to take that leap, and just you've got a great support system in Amanda and her team. If this is your time to do this, she's your woman. Like she's your person because she's going to help you move through any of that, any of those fears, any of those nerves, and she's going to help you get deep and deeply connected to your story, how you want to share that. And I think that's such a beautiful. Thank you for sharing that about that gentleman, because I think that's really powerful. And he waited 10 years. Don't wait 10 years if you're listening. Like the time is now. Book your call with Amanda. I want to see your book out there. Reach out to me. I'll read it and leave you a review.
Yeah.
Let me know you're with Amanda and I will read your book and leave you a review. So Amanda, how can we get more of you? Where can we find you?
Well, I do want to point you to, if you're kind of thinking about what is this whole journey going to look like, that
Mhm.
sometimes holds people back. Is they're like, oh, I have an idea, but where do I go with it? We do have a free download that I'm really proud of called the Memoir Method Checklist. Now, before people say, oh, but I'm not writing a memoir, if you're putting your stories in there, there is an element of memoir. So this is going to be useful to anybody that wants to have any piece of their story in their book. But you can download that at pageandpodium.com/checklist, and it will take you through all of the steps with timelines that you will need to go through to get this book out, whether you're working with us, whether you're going to go it alone with, get on YouTube and kind of watch some stuff and try to figure it out on your own. You need all those steps. So
Mm.
download that. It's free. And we really get good feedback from that. So I know you're going to get a lot of value out of it.
Amazing. So pageandpodium.com/checklist. Go there, go grab it, get started now, and then reach out to Amanda and get a call. How do we book a call with you?
You can go to pageandpodium.com/contact, and it's
Perfect.
a little application form. We try to get back to you within a couple days. So you'll hear from us and invite you to book a call if it's going to be a good fit. If it's not, we send you some free information, point you to somebody who will be a better fit for you. But I want to hear from everybody. I think your listeners are our exact people. So book a call. I want to hear from you.
Yes, they all have stories to share that they need to get out there, even if they don't know it. So you have a story to share. So make sure and a message to share. Remember, your message, and Amanda's going to help you navigate that. So let's leave fear in the passenger seat. Let's move forward and take action. Grab the download, pageandpodium.com/checklist. Go grab that and then go to the contact section of her website and book a call, because you don't want to lone wolf this. Like you could try and do it alone, but just like any journey, whether you're building a business, whether you're launching a book, whether you're doing anything, lone wolfing is only going to take you so much longer to get there. So take the call, grab the opportunity. Don't let this opportunity go by you. Action brings clarity, And by taking action and talking with Amanda and her team, you're going to get so much clearer on your direction and where to go next. So I have loved this conversation, and I'm excited now. I'm going to talk to you. So I can't wait to talk about a book. Question for you before we wrap up is there any last advice that you'd want to share first, Amanda?
Yeah, well, I mean, I want to just emphasize what you just said about this lone wolf thing. One thing that I see so often is that women in particular, we are socialized, like I said, to be behind the scenes, prop everybody up. We're the ones that do all the emotional support, all the kind of little tasks, all the memory work. We also, just like the men, we deserve to have full-throated support behind us. But unless you ask for it, we don't get it, right? People think we're, oh, you're so strong, especially, I know your listeners, right? Oh, you're so strong, you're so professional, you're so accomplished. People just assume we don't need help. It is okay to ask, and in fact, that vulnerability, that is what pays off every single time. So
Yeah.
we also have a group program. So if you're thinking you want to write a book, but you want to do it yourself and at a little bit lower price point, check out the memoir method. It's pageandpodium.com/memoir-method. You can hop in that group program, and that is a group of supportive women. It is an amazing curated group. We make sure that it's really good vibes in there. Come and write your memoir with us in a group. It's going to be so rewarding.
I love that. I'm a big believer and advocate of community. So we don't feel alone, because even when we're sharing our story, we could, we could always, or we're stuck in our stuff, we can feel like nobody else understands what we're going through. And writing a book is that process. You're going to be like, nobody understands, especially in your home life. But if the people closest to you, they may not understand it. They may be like, why are you doing this? Because you have a passion and you have a message, and it gets to be out there, because there's plenty of people out there that need to hear your specific message. So I love that you have a community, Amanda. Go check that out too. All of the links are in the show notes, so you can come on and grab those links, but definitely go get your download. Grab the call with Amanda, check out the group program, but talk with her and her team. It's really important that you get information. The more information brings clarity, and clarity is what you need first, right? And that support. So thank you so much for this. This has been amazing. I've so enjoyed having you. And you're right, like the lone wolfing thing, when we're entrepreneurs, because this was even said to me recently, like, oh, I know, like in relationships too, because we carry a lot. I'm a single mom, so I carry a lot on my shoulders. There's times I don't want to carry it. I need support and some help, but not everybody thinks that unless I ask for it, they think, oh, she's got it. She's got it. I don't want to interfere. I don't want to interject. And I'm like, no, please, please, please help. Please interfere. Please interject. But you need, like you said, Amanda, like we need to ask for the help. And that vulnerability is people want to help. They're waiting. You just need to ask the question. So, last question for you. Amanda on social, Amanda on your website. Is there anything like a fun fact that we wouldn't know about you by seeing just you on social or in your website?
Well, I think this is the most fun fact. So all the way back pre-pandemic, I was just scrolling through Twitter, just my personal Twitter, not my business, just scrolling through Twitter, and somebody had said, what is the most unbelievable thing that has happened to you that people would not believe is true? And I have one of those. So I put it in, I'm going to tell you in a second. And it went viral. I woke up the next morning and it was at like 10,000 likes or something. And it got up to 893,000.
Wow, that's incredible. That's so awesome. And see, you put yourself out there and you were seen. I love it. I love it.
I did not mean to be seen. It was so terrifying to me. But I'll tell you, the story was when I was in college, I fell out of my bunk bed, and just by luck of the draw, I broke both of my legs and my right arm.
Oh my
I
goodness.
think I had a vitamin D deficiency, which I learned because people on Twitter told me. But years later, I was on a date with this guy, and he was like, "Oh," and I said, "I'm clumsy," and he's like, "Well, you can't be as clumsy. Listen to this story about this clumsy woman." And his brother was the EMT that had come up to help me come down out of my dorm room. So anyway, it was me. I'm
That's
the clumsy one.
amazing. That is amazing. I love that story. I have to say, I think that's the best story I've heard so far. So thank you
That's
so
great.
much for sharing that. That is a phenomenal story. You have like so many stories in that story.
That's
You have
right.
like 3 stories in that story, probably 4. That's amazing. Well, thank you so much,
Well,
Amanda. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, just because people always want to know, I did not marry him. That would
Oh,
have been a great story, but it was not a love connection, but it was a funny
okay.
story.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, and I'm like, she just said something. Maybe I'll just like not ask that. But thank you for sure. I was gonna say, so are you still together? How'd that go? But no, that's awesome. I'm sure you guys had a great laugh, and it made for an interesting date. So, but thank you for sharing. Thank you so much for being here, Amanda. This has been so enlightening and eye-opening for me. And I know for many of our listeners as well, because if whether a book was on your radar or not on your radar, it should be. And your next step is to go download the checklist and then book a call with Amanda and her team. And let's get started. And then reach out to me and let me know you're with Amanda, and I'll read your book and leave your review. You've already got one person in your corner. So
Yes, yes, you can be on the hype
next up.
team.
Yes, I am. I will be your hype team. So I will promote you until the cows come home. So again, Amanda, thank you so much for sharing yourself with us, your expertise and your journey. It's been such a pleasure.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of the Be S.H.E podcast. Go be seen, be heard, and empowered. We'll see you soon.